Back in the home garage, brought the car home so I could keep working on it a little more regularly than where I had it stored for winter time. Um, Plenty to do still. Some are needs, some are wants. Seats, as you can see through the window, are in, but that's actually not finished yet. We'll get into that later. But the car is already up on jack stands, ready to be worked on. I have a 65,000 mile transmission to put in here, thinking that will solve the sound issue that we have. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Gonna do that probably first. Inspect the clutch while I'm in there, but hoping that that's just input shaft bearing noise. Also arrived today a new set of cold weather, rainy, crappy condition tires to put on this second set of wheels. They're PS4s, which are on the car now. Great tire, great track and street tire, especially if you're not doing this all the time. Absolutely 100% recommend using these because they last a long time on the street, but they can also hold up for a lot of laps on track, especially if you're good with managing your tire pressure and rotation and have a square setup like I do. Specifically referring to M5 owners that may be considering some track day stuff. Square setup with PS4s is definitely a great way to go. But anyways, these are heat cycled out. The tread's not great. Last time I used them in the rain, it really was not that great. And they're just due to be replaced. Still plenty of tread for street use, so I'm going to try to squeeze a few dollars out of them and sell them. But got new ones to mount. So that's a little side deal that I'll have to take care of. Also have a Rogue resonated X pipe to put in. They had some in stock at one of the vendors. These are not in stock very commonly. So I picked up this one while the opportunity presented, and now they're, like a day later, they're sold out. So until they make another run, that could be another year plus. And this is a really nice, good quality resonated X pipe for a good price. So snagged one of those. So we're gonna install that when the transmission work is done, since the X pipe has to come out to pull the trans anyways. So I'm gonna get that put in there as well. So that's some of the work. Also going to pull the calipers off. Definitely the fronts. I may or may not do the rears right now to pop all the pistons out and put some stiffer anti-knockback springs in. Found a different supplier that makes ones that will fit in these calipers that are more stiff than what I have, because what I have is not stiff enough. They're not bad, but definitely still coming down the back straight at Watkins Glen. I definitely, on pretty much every lap, have to pump up the pedal a little bit with my left foot, which is a distraction. So I'm hoping to just alleviate that with some stiffer springs. And it's good timing because the brake fluid needs to be flushed anyways for the season. So we'll get that done all at one time. Also need to change the rest of the fluids on this thing. Engine oil, trans oil, partly because it's coming out or new ones going in, partly because I have a different fluid blend that I'm planning to run. Also the new diff, I'm planning to change the oil on that. Already flushed it once or changed it once after break-in, and then I used it a little bit more, a few more track days. And it's a new season, so time for new fluid. All right, let's talk fluids a little bit more. Changed the diff oil. I'm running Redline 75 110 as recommended by Diffs Online. They're the ones who built the diff, and definitely want to run what they recommend. So that's what I used last season, and that's what I just put in now for this season, or to start the season. Fortunately, I had enough on the shelf still to do one more change, but it turns out the 75 110 is currently on back order. Talked to Dan at Diffs Online, and he said they're still a few months out on getting that back in stock. So what he recommends, if I need to change the fluid before it's back in stock, and for anyone listening out there, 7590 he said to start with when it's a little cooler out, for springtime driving or track use. And then after that, so probably end of May, early June, when it starts heating up, or depending on certainly what part of the country you're in, he recommended a 50-50 blend of the 75-90 and the 75-140 from Redline to get that basically blended to 110. He said he recommends doing that over, say, using a different brand 75-110. Said he tested the AMSOIL, which I saw is available in this weight, and he wasn't happy with the additive package and results from testing that he did. So just FYI, as usual, your mileage may vary on that, but I'm going to go with what Dan recommended for the diff that he built for me. Shouldn't really be a big deal unless you're doing some serious racing. If you're a track HPD guy like I am right now, or just street driving, blending the 90 weight and 140 is certainly going to be fair enough to do. So that's done. And then moving on to the transmission. Speaking of blends, I blended some MT90 and this TopTech 1100 transmission fluid for the trans. I haven't driven the car yet to see how it performs. This will be my first time using this blend. Normally I've been running like a 7590 or a 7580 gear oil in the 420G transmission in the M5. So we'll see how that does. I guess I wasn't really unhappy with that oil, but I want to try something different. And a lot of people have positive feedback from running one or the other, and some people say the blend is kind of the best, but a lot of that's subjective, and I think kind of is based on your specific transmission and how notchy it may or may not be to begin with, because that's somewhat what the 420G is known for. Moving on, brake fluid, got that flushed out. I run the Motul 600. There's a lot of different ones out there. I haven't really had any issues with boiling the fluid. Actually, I've had zero issues with that. It seems to hold up well, durability wise. Plus, I'm bleeding the brakes after each event. So after 2 or 3 days worth of driving, all 4 calipers get, let's say, 4 to 5 pedal pumps of flush through them. I want to vacate as much of that fluid in the calipers as possible without spending the time and fluid on a full flush every single or after every single event. But anyways, your mileage may vary on that with any fluids. Everyone has their favorites and their experiences, etc. This is just what I run. So also, as you can see, we got these little beehive springs. These are the old anti-knockback springs that I was using in the front calipers. There's one behind each piston, so there's 12 springs here. That work is done. They've all been swapped out, and some bigger ones and what I think are stronger poundage wise are now in there, and we'll see how that does once we get back on track. Speaking of getting back on track, still need to finish up a little bit of work here that we're gonna keep documenting. What I did get done, or just about done, is the expansion tank needed to be mounted now that the stock fan shroud is gone, and the viscous clutch that usually rides on the water pump here, that's been removed and replaced with this fan that I'm installing. That's a Fan Dynamics fan that I've used on other cars with good success, no issues, quiet, seemed to work as advertised, and pretty cheap. I think this is like 2,600 CFM, if I remember correctly, and it was like 110 bucks shipped, or maybe it was 120, somewhere around there. Very reasonably priced, quick shipping out of New Jersey. So happy with that in the past, so hopefully we'll be happy with this setup. But back to the expansion tank, I needed to find a solution to mount this baby. You can see there's a real super simple thing here. Just a piece of aluminum stock that I had, scrap metal laying around, as well as a rubber isolator that I bought, actually probably to mount one of these, that turned out to not be correct, so I just had it also laying around. So drilled a couple holes, bent some metal, didn't waste a lot of time on it. It is very secure on that side, keep it from flopping around. But the more sturdy work is on this side. Again, I just used some scrap metal that I had laying around, bent it. Actually, this is a little bar stock at the top, and at the bottom, that's actually like half of a license plate bracket for a motorcycle that I cut and then welded it on to the bar stock. You can see another rubber isolator at the top here, and it goes into the stock location at the bottom, so it just slots in real nice. Really easy to take it off if I need to for popping the radiator out. So that should be good, nice and secure here. All I need to do is bring in a overflow line. This is the return line. It's actually like the self bleeder from the top of the radiator. BMW finally got something right on their cooling systems with the S62. It's self bleeding, runs at a cooler temp compared to, say, the M62s out there, and really anything of the era from BMW. These run cooler and they self bleed, which is awesome. So super simple as far as that goes. But I still want to put an overflow line on here and kind of bring it back over and down where the stock one went, because that's the last thing I need is some overflow pushing out and just blowing straight into the engine and making a big mess. So I got to do that still. Minor detail. But you can see here, not necessarily minor, but also not too big of a deal. I'm starting to wire up this electric fan. I'm going to mount the relay here, and I'm just starting now to play around with wiring it. Actually just finished wiring the on-off switch. Pretty cool. I was actually able to tap in to this back here. It's kind of hard to see. Oh, that's a little better. I still need to clean this up, but this is a kind of just a power connection that it's like a distribution, I guess, using just some connectors. And this is constant battery power, all of these here. And there was an empty slot, so I kind of had to hack the connector off and added in a second wire and connector and a fuse here for the switch power, to power up the relay or to have the relay switch. So that was pretty nice, and I have it all, going through the box here. I added that grommet to go through the side and run the wires up. So fairly straightforward and simple, just a little time consuming, like pretty much anything you do on a car. But was able to carry the wires in and bring it up to the dash here. Again, real simple, basic. Built this little panel here, I guess you could call it, and on-off switch. And so the light's not connected or wired, but on-off switch is, and the relay works, which is always a good sign. Found a better spot to put the OBD2 port, where it's a little more accessible and sturdy and stable. But work is progressing, so let's see where we're gonna go next. All right, let's get started on this transmission work. We'll get this baby ripped out and see what's going on. Pretty sure that the input shaft bearing is bad or something in that area. Pretty sure it's the bearing, but let's do some testing, a little bit of testing, and rip this baby out and see what we got. Clutch out in neutral. Clutch in. Clutch out. All right, got the transmission out, and we have two of them next to each other now. The one on the left is the one I just took out. The one on the right is the one that I bought. And I think we found the problem. Not sure if you'll be able to hear it, but there's a nice bearing groaning noise. And there's a ton of play up and down on this shaft. It should not be there. For comparison, you can hear the gears, but it's because it's in gear. There's zero play. And it's nice and quiet. Clutch in or out, doesn't matter. Nice and quiet. Much better with the new transmission in. Fresh oil change. Got a lifter tick from it sitting all winter. Still need to check and clear the check engine light from the dyno tuning. See what that's all about. See if the tuner needs to clean that up, turn something off. We'll see, or it's just from a previous version and it just didn't self-clear. Also need to, you can see the trifecta lights are on, brake, ABS, traction control. Still need to put these two fuses back in now that we're done on the dyno. But all well and good. Transmission's nice and quiet. Engine's not really that quiet, but the Rogue resonated X pipe is now in. So much quieter. We'll see what it's like when driving, but really does not seem to be any quieter. Maybe it'll be a touch less raspy. I guess that's all I can ask for. All right, got the wiring finished. Got the coolant overflow hose installed. Everything's back together, pretty much anyways. There's the fan relay, all wired in and tidied up. Lo and behold, we have a fan. Didn't get a chance to wire the light, the idiot light here, but that's really kind of a non-issue. Not something I'm going to worry about anytime soon, but cool. We're pretty much ready for the track. Everything is buttoned up except for the wheels. So I'll get those on and put the strut tower brace on, and that's pretty much it. So I will see you guys at the track, hopefully. Watkins Glen coming up in a few weeks with GVC, BMW CCA. Be running with them all year or all season, and hopefully see you guys out there. And if not, or if you're interested in coming just to spectate, let me know. I can definitely get you on the list to get in the gate, just to come check it out. Be awesome to have some people that are interested able to get in and check things out and hopefully get on track, because that's what it's all about. It's a ton of fun, and that's the main reason we do this. Until next time.